Alright, so hello everybody, this is Magic. Apparently I forgot to turn on my mic. I just looked out, I was like, wait a minute. There's a big X through the microphone logo, so I apologize for that. Now it is Sunday, I am doing some more analysis today. I'm not going to do too many analysis today, just because, well, I'm actually really tired this week, and I'm trying to get over my sickness. I want to get over it this week. I'm still coughing quite a bit, so I still, get congested and whatnot, so I don't know how my voice is right now, but hopefully it's going to be good. Now, I did not have a lot of time to go over my, usually at 1 o'clock my time until like 5 my time, and at 5 I start my casting. But for those 4 hours, usually I'm looking at the analysis or looking at the replays, analyzing them and taking notes, so I have some good material going on. But today I did not have that kind of time, well, if I screw up your replay, I apologize, first of all. And second of all, if it's pretty bad, I will redo it for you, or I'll do another one of your replays. Now, that's hopefully definitely not going to happen, but we'll see what actually happens if I screw up anything. Like if I forget the overlay or something, I will redo your replay at some point in time. I always do. So if I do screw up, I apologize, but well, to be quite honest, I'm not that good at talking, so this is kind of strange, to be someone that's not good at communicating yet trying to do something that's very, relies on communication. So it is kind of strange for me. But anyways, without further ado, we're going to jump right into these analysis. I'm not going to do like a fundamental thing beforehand. Hopefully soon, probably on Tuesday, I will be doing not like a show, I'll just be doing an extra video that you can look up on YouTube. For fundamentals and all that. So I mean, we'll go over some stuff then and all that good stuff. So definitely tune into that. You don't have to see it live. I'm not gonna even tell you a time because I'm not sure when I'm gonna do it on Tuesday, if I even do it Tuesday. But once I have it up, I'll tell you guys about it on the forum or the thread or whatever on Team Liquid. I'll post something on YouTube and you can look for the video for it and see it that way. So I feel like that kind of fundamental thinking will help a lot of people, because that's what I see people screw up, a lot of fundamentals, and quite honestly that's what they will be screwing up. I mean, that you got to get good at the fundamentals before you really go into more advanced stuff that require a little bit higher end analysis. So I am going to be going and doing that. I'm not sure how long that show will be, but hopefully it'll be pretty quick. But without further ado, let's go right into these replays. And let's see, my overlay is up. Don't worry, I'm going to be taking it down. Hopefully I won't leave it up at all today. And if I do, of course, we'll redo your analysis. Alright, so let's remove it. There we go. We are in good shape. Alright, so we have Old Boy, who is spawning as our Zerg player, but he is not our viewer. Our viewer today is Morescore. So Morescore playing as Protoss. It is a Zerg, or Protoss against Zerg, I should say. And this time around, we're going to be looking at the big picture. Yes, okay, what can I do better in terms of small things? Yes, but in terms of the big picture, what should I be looking at? What should I really be geared more towards? So we'll be doing that. Alright, so it looks like he's sending out a pretty fast probe to put down that pylon at the ramp. Where is my sound? There's my sound. Alright, cool. Hopefully it's not too loud for you guys. It looks like he's scouting with that probe early on. That's fine. I love seeing an early scout, to be perfectly honest. As Zerg, I send my overload out, and I send my probe out, or I mean my drone out, and I look for that base, because I want to know if he's going to be cannon rushing me. That's just something I want to see. I want to see if that's there. If I don't see a pylon at the front, yeah, he's probably got a forge or a gateway in my vicinity, and I need to check for it, so I usually scout at 8. As Protoss usually scout at 9 after that pylon. Maybe scout on 12 or 13 with that gateway. Just for the record, do not cut probes. This is the first mistake I'm seeing right now. He's not building this probe, and now he's building. That was definitely late. You want to get that out ASAP. Do not cut probes ever, ever. Until you're Grandmasters, I never want to see a probe not being built, ever. Unless you have like 100 probes, I don't, you should always be building probes with all your Nexus. Alright, so now he's building probes. If you have one queued up, if you have to queue one up, make sure that you always have one. That's fine. Like a good thing to do early on if you're forgetting them early, or a lot early on. It's just if you have one that's just starting to build, or if you have only one in the, going at once from one Nexus, you can have one queued up. Like right now, if you want to, you could have another one. That's fine. I accept that. I like that. Looks like he is adding on some more pylons at good times. He's got the 7X going up. Just try to get things a little bit sooner. Like as soon as the gateway is done, have the probe here. Just try to time it out so that when this gate is finished, your probe is like coming along here, and then it finishes when you're here, and then you just place it down right as it finishes. That's just a good practice to be in. Try to get things very crisp right when they need to be done. I'm not sure what they're talking about. I'm kind of ignoring it. Not a big deal. It looks like he has a little bit of chrono saved up. I'd try to spend it. Try to at least spend 1 chrono or your first chrono on probes. Even if you're going for a 4-gate, you should spend your first chrono on probes. Just get out some extra guys, and then you can get stuff faster a little bit later on, type of thing. So you can just get more guys out, more drones. Or, I mean, then you can get probes and get more guys at the same time. If you miss probes, then you're just going to get further and further behind. It's not very awesome. So, looks like he's going for a 3-gate expand here. He's got the 2 simulators. Now, if he gets up some other stuff, he could do like a 3-gate Stargates or a 1-gate Robo or something like that. It doesn't have to be a 3-gate expand, but typically speaking, those aren't very good plays as they're pretty much an all-in play. So I would like to see a 3-gate after, since he is going for 2 assimilators. And well, there goes another gateway. See when he adds on another one. Let's see, chrono is being spent on his warp gate. So actually, I don't know. You can spend some chrono on the warp gate if you're going 3-gate. That's fine. I don't have any issue with that. Looks like Zerg. You did block the hatchery down here. Zerg just took it out. Zerg's expansion is actually extremely late. Extremely late. Like usually you want this at 20. If you're going pool first, you get your hatchery up at 20. So this is actually quite late for Zerg. And with that in mind, Protoss is actually going to be sitting pretty good if he gets up that 3-gate in a good amount of time. So 2 more gates are being added on right now, and we'll see when he gets up that extra 400 for that gate or for the Nexus. Now some players are now going for a 1-gate Nexus and then adding on 2 more gates and then a 4th gate. That's really good. I like to see that, but at the same time, it's a little bit riskier. If you want to just go with 3-gate and then expand, that's probably the best way to do it. Don't worry about trying to do anything crazy. Looks like Zerg moving in here right as that Zealot comes out. And, well, keeping the Zerglings out, that's, I would say that force field is very good. You want to have your Zealot helping you out. Not a huge deal, but, well, he's going to be able to kill off those Zerglings and keep his Stalker alive, so that's actually not bad. He's going to be sitting pretty good with that. The Nexus is going down, and I do want to say you might want to put the pylon down first. And putting it down right here is actually a really good idea, just to make the Zerglings have to run around it to get up that ramp. And it gives you just extra time to force field it and all that good stuff. Having it here, not a big issue. I'm just, a little thing like putting it at the ramp might be better. Looks like he's going to be putting that forge down there instead. That's fine. If you want to do that, that's fine. Yeah, actually it looks like a good spot. Not a big deal. Meanwhile, looks like, well, he's got his 3 gates, he's got his gas, he's spending stuff on sentries, which is good. If you're doing a 3-gate expand, you want a lot of sentries, so you can just, if Zerglings come by, you can force field them. A Baneling bust isn't going to do much if you have a lot of sentries, so I mean, I do like that quite a bit. Now, of course, if Zerg decided to go for roaches, that is somewhat of an issue. You got to worry about that a little bit, but typically speaking, you are going to be pretty darn safe with this. Regardless, and you can always just add on a couple of stalkers if you need to, but and then the force fields, of course, will still help out against the roaches. So not a big deal. But as you can see, old boy not going to be doing any of that. Now, if you want to, you can do a pressure with this. You can pressure with your sentries and your stalker, but it is really kind of unsafe at the same time. Like if you do pressure, you don't want to lose any of your guys. You want to just show up and say, hey, you need to make units right now, otherwise I'm going to kill you. And then if he doesn't have any units, then yeah, you can do a bunch of damage, but you got to try not to lose any of your guys here, because these sentries are going to help you all game long. Try not to lose them. And that's a big issue that I see wrong with a lot of players. So looks like he's getting his +1 attack up. Very good time in on that. Just has a bunch of guys saved up, a couple of Stalkers being warped in. Very good. So if roaches were coming in here, he'd be sitting really well off this. And he's even getting up a robotics facility. Constricting space here, very good. Just having a nice small opening for, to get through, So that's going to be really good. Looks like Zerg just got his lair, getting up the overseer. Gonna be scouting around and all that fun stuff. Looks like Chrono's being spent, which is very good. Always spend your Chrono. So like he does have one saved up, not a huge issue. He's getting up a lot of probes. Actually, his opponent's not doing so well in probes. And so he's actually playing pretty darn well so far. Looks like there's a Spire going up. Zerg does have a macro hatch. Now, I'm really surprised to see that Zerg has so few drones, but I mean, it's not a big deal. You know, at this level of play, you want some extra units. That's fine. You know, pro players will get away with not having any units, and that's like absurd to me. But yeah, so he's doing good on making probes. That's very awesome. A lot of players don't do that. He has 2 queued up, 1 at each nexus. That's fine. He's spending his money really well, so that's very good. And in case you guys are wondering, this is actually like he apparently is platinum. That's what he put down as his you know, spot. He could actually probably make it into diamond like this. I'm probably gonna say that, you know, maybe his later game is not as good. Maybe just can't keep up with, you know, his macro and wanting to expand and all that. So I mean, he might fail in that sense. So maybe that's why he's in platinum. But right now he could be taking out the rocks, these rocks to be precise, or maybe the ones at the gold if you want the gold. But I mean, gold is a little bit less safe, especially for Protoss. Against Mutas, you know, it's not so easy. He looks like he even has a proxy pylon up here that Zerg hasn't found. He's gonna know when his opponent expands. Personally, I would prefer to have a pylon here. A pylon here, you can still warp in guys on this side, but with this pylon here, Zerg is more likely to find it, especially if he's going to be expanding up there. So looks like Zerg is going to be taking the gold, so he kind of lucked out in that sense. But yeah, Zerg's moving out with a bunch of roaches. They do have the burrow, and it looks like our dude here, Morse Sower, is getting up a Dark Shrine and that Blink, so I mean, he's actually getting attacked at a good time. Now, this is kind of scary. You want to force field this. Looks like that's... Oh, that kind of sucks. You want to be force fielding that spot as much as possible now. It looks like he force fielded again. Looks like the roaches just having a very good timing. Old boy getting a very good timing attack with these roaches and a +1. And Protoss pretty much screwed. You know, you kind of try to group together a little bit more. Like he had some guys down here, and now he just warped in some stalkers, which could have been down here. I would have preferred that and just help out with those roaches. Try to keep your guys together as a whole, an army of 1. That's going to make them a lot stronger now. So this roach is going to get in there. I would have liked to see that a force field go down up here, just to block those roaches from getting up there to kill out that pylon. Now the pylon's gone, so you can't actually use any... Actually, you can use the... Okay. I thought you couldn't use any cybernetics core technology, but apparently you can still warp in some stalkers and sentries. But so now I'm not sure. Does he not have... Let's go to units. Yeah, he doesn't have an observer. I wish he would have had an observer out by now. Try to get that out a little bit sooner. Definitely replace these pylons sooner. Get a pylon up here to get the sentry working. Looks like he's doing alright. This roach is target firing that Dark Shrine. So yeah, this kind of stuff just kind of happens in a way. And it sucks. You just want to try to rebuild as fast as possible. Roaches are going to be going after your pylons mainly and your probes. So I mean, you want to be where they're going to be. Now it looks like you have cannons in the back here, so you don't have to worry about that. I'll just keep them up here a little bit more. You know, it looks like he dealt with that fairly well. So yeah, the roach killed off this pylon and burrowed and took out the Dark Shrine and burrowed and all that. I just would have liked to see him a little bit closer to where the roaches could have been. You know, the pylons are what you want to worry about, since you do have cannons in the back here. I messed up. Don't worry about it. You know, if you know, you don't need to say, "Oh, I messed up." Just, you know, to me that's kind of like saying, like, "Oh, I don't know, kind of like admitting that you, oh, what's it called? I don't know. Just don't worry about it. You know, because you don't have to explain yourself. Just, "Oh, I played bad." You know, people need to realize that people just have bad games. So I mean, I wouldn't worry about saying, you know, something like that, because that just makes it seem like you have a bad self-esteem, in my opinion. But anyways, those robots are taken out. Looks like you need that pylon there, man. Pylon. Now if you see a bunch of roaches like this and you don't have a lot of gas, and actually he only has one guy in this is similar, which is kind of a blunder. You need to work on that. But I would say definitely, if you don't have a lot of gas and you have a ton of minerals like this, add on gateways. Don't add on these robotics facilities. You're not going to be able to use them. with this gas, you're not going to be able to use these gateways plus these robotic facilities, so that's not going to help you. Just add on more gateways, you know, get up some zealots. Zealots are actually pretty good against roaches. Now, you might want that robotic facility for an observer, and that's okay, but you know, at this time, I'll just say add on some warp gates. Maybe add on a couple of cannons, like add a power line down here with a cannon or something like that. And we'll just try to get up some detection. If you see this coming, try to get up detection. Let's say the biggest blunder in this play was not getting up that observer right away from that robotics, and you just kind of lose for that kind of thing. To be perfectly honest, you just, like, sometimes you just lose because of that. You know, like your opponent just has the perfect counter to what you're doing, and you just lose for it. So I mean, overall, you want to try to not have that weakness. Like, okay, Morsor just lost because he didn't have an observer, and well, if your strategy doesn't include an observer, then yeah, you need to add an observer to that strategy. Like, because no matter what strategy you do, you should account for anything that your opponent could do. Like these burrowed roaches, for example. So, I mean, Protoss players, like, for example, if you're going 6-gate, and your opponent's going burrowed roaches, those burrowed roaches could just kill you. So you need to be prepared for that. You know, he had a forge, could put down a cannon here, and then he would have been perfectly fine against those roaches. You know, so I mean, just a small thing like that. So like this cannon, these two cannons, I should say, were not here when those roaches attacked the first time. So I mean, I'll just say maybe next time, if you're doing the strategy, try to get up that cannon, try to get out an observer. You know, of course, you don't actually need the cannon if you have the observer, but I mean, it's good to have. So I mean, just do that. Just make sure you get up that observer. I mean, if you're going 6-gate or something like that, and you don't have a robotics, and you're not planning to get one, then yes, have a cannon. By all means, definitely have a cannon. You have the forge already, just get a cannon, and that'll just help you. So, I don't know, that just kind of sucks about StarCraft. Like, you're just going to lose about a lot of your games because you just didn't include a certain strategy, and you're just not defended well against it. But overall, I'd say Morsor, you did all right. You definitely did all right. But yeah, so I mentioned a lot of small things. Let's say big picture. Big picture, I'd say maybe you want this expansion a little bit sooner. You had a lot of money. Get up more gateways sooner. Like, he had 4 and then he was adding on robotics. That's fine. But off 2 bases, you're actually going to be able to afford more gateways than that if you constantly produce. And it's actually okay to cut units. Don't cut workers. It's okay to cut units to add on a couple of gateways at certain times. Now, it's, if you, like, for example, if you have your observer out and you send it to his base and you know what he's doing, he doesn't have a lot of units, and yeah, by all means, you can cut a couple of units and get up a couple of extra gateways, and with that, you're actually going to be able to get up extra units. You're going to have more units done by the time he attacks. That's just called powering. That's is a good technique that lets you get up more units at the same time. Now, the way it works is, if you have a gateway, or let's say you have like 3 gateways, right? You're producing 3 stalkers at a time. Now, if you're constantly producing 3 stalkers at a time, you're gonna like maybe slowly build up your minerals a little bit at a time, and then like maybe like 5 minutes later, you're gonna be able to add on a 4th gateway, and that's fine. But at the same time, if you stop building stalkers, you'll get like a bunch of money from those stalkers that you're not making to add on a couple gateways. And then once those are finished, I mean, then, you know, of course, once they're in production, then you add on some more stalkers. And then once they're finished, then you'll just have like 5 gates, and then you'll just produce 5 stalkers at a time instead of 3. You know, so it's kind of like saying, okay, instead of having 3 stalkers and then 3 stalkers and 3 stalkers and then 4 stalkers with that gateway and then 4 and then 5 like later, it's more like, okay, you got 3 and then you're gonna cut it, and so then you say, okay, I'm gonna add on more gateways. So you have like 3 and then 5 and then 5 and then 5 and then 5. You know, so it's like, is get more, and you know, it's tricky to do because you want to time it at a time when you know you're gonna need that extra gateway. So you just do it like a little bit beforehand, type of thing, and then you're just able to produce. Once it's finished, you should be able to produce out of all 5. So I mean, you don't want to do it too early, otherwise you're just not gonna be able to use that 4th and 5th gateway. But you want to do it at a reasonable time when you know you're gonna use it, type of thing. So it's tricky to do. It takes a little bit of practice. So I mean, as Protoss, you kind of need to know those timings. Know when Zerg is adding on a third. Know when he's expanding. Okay, like early on you saw, okay, he got a late hatchery going because you blocked it. That's awesome. You're going to be sitting pretty safe since you got up your Nexus at a good time. And then Zerg takes a third and then attacks you at the same time. And I feel like you could have held that attack if you just had a cannon there and just had enough guys at the right time. So it's kind of tricky type of thing. Now, in terms of the big picture, I don't know. This is kind of like not, we didn't really go to, this game's not all that long because you just kind of like lost at a certain point. But the big picture is you want to be expanding while laying down some pressure. So I'll try to get this up a little bit sooner. I'll try to get up, once you have that robotics out, get an observer out, crank out some immortals, and just like push out a little bit. Now, if you have an observer out and you can see that he has a lot of units, then yeah, by all means, you don't have to push out. I'm just saying, if you have seen opportunity to force him to make units, then yeah, by all means, do it. Like if you push out and he doesn't have a lot of units, but by the time you get to like halfway across the map, like to that watchtower, and you see a lot of units with that observer, then yeah, by all means, run back to your base. You got to know when you can take your opponent and when you can't. And then of course you're expanding behind it. You do not want to just push out and then run back. You want to push out and run back, but push out right when you're putting down the Nexus. So I mean, it's just tricky like that. But anyways, I think I covered that enough. I'm rambling on a little bit, but let's go to the next replay. Just for the record, I'm probably not going to be taking a break today between the games, so I'm going to be answering any questions at the end of everything. Not going to be taking a break in the middle, because we're only doing 5 replays today instead of 6 or 7, so I mean, it's just a little bit nice like that. Replay is up, so that's going to be removed in just a sec. Alright, so this is another, actually this one is a Terran against Protoss, where we have Slick? Liquid Slick. I'm not sure if he's actually a Liquid member or not, but we have Liquid Slick. He's going to be playing as our Protoss player. And, well, it's the Shattered Temple once again. He's spawned at the 9 o'clock position. And in the close air position we have Xova, who is our viewer today. And he is a Terran, so we're going to be doing some Terran against Protoss. I mean, starting off with my analysis, I would be doing a lot of Zerg against whatever. But now I'm getting a lot more Terran against Zerg or Terran against Protoss or Protoss against Zerg and Terran. So it's really good. I like to see that. I like that you guys are sending me a good variety of stuff. So keep it coming. By all means, keep it coming. If you like my analysis, you improve a little bit. By all means, after you improve a little bit, send me another replay. Send me a replay of all the stuff that you changed. That'd be great. I'd love to see that. And I can give you even more advice. So I mean, definitely do that. So anyways, Xova has spawned at the bottom here. He is our blue player. See, overlays is removed. Awesome, awesome. And once again, I am still doing this blind, so it's kind of strange. All right, so this game we're going to be talking about like the late game, how to kill my opponent type of thing. When do I expand? When do I not expand? It looks like Xova is putting up a barracks at a good time. He's doing it right by his command center, which is awesome. Just saves him a little bit of time. If you do it at the ramp, I mean, if you have a reason to do it at the ramp, that's fine. But if you do it back here, that's going to save you some time. You're going to actually get more money just because you're not going as far. That actually gives you more money than you might think. Like that's an extra like $50 that you don't have in your pocket because you went over here. Now against Zerg, you have to do that. Against Protoss, you don't necessarily have to do that. So I'm glad that I'm seeing that. Looks like Protoss is doing the exact same thing, just building it over here. And in case you guys are wondering, this is a diamond level play, according to Xova. So we'll see what he does exactly. Looks like his orbital command is at a good timing as well. SV coming out doing, doesn't he? I guess he doesn't have an SV out scouting. Alright, so he's going to be expanding. 1 barracks expand. This is totally fine. If you like to do this, that's fine. Just gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. Gotta know what Protoss is doing. You gotta have a good way to do it. Now, if you have a good build, then you have a good build. Just do it. Just do it. So I'm not going to tell you how to build your stuff. And I can tell you about strategy. In terms of build orders, you know, I don't like to tell people, oh, you have to get this at this time because that's a good build. You know, I'd rather have you guys just play how you want to play, and I'll give you advice on how to improve your play out of what you already are doing existing wise. So, anyways, looks like he has his Marines coming out to defend, putting up a bunker. Very good. And if you're doing this one barracks expand, you're going to need some defense. You're going to want this extra bunker. So I am glad I am seeing that. Looks like the probe is not in the Terran base, so I mean you don't have to worry about Protoss scouting it. So yeah, Protoss hasn't really seen much. Likewise though, it looks like he hasn't seen much of Protoss. Now Protoss is doing expansion of his own. And you gotta be careful of this. I mean I'd say early on, like if you're going like for Terran, if you're going infantry is more like Zerg, whereas mech is more like Protoss. Now if you're going infantry, you can take a lot of bases. You want to be up on bases than your opponent. You want to have more bases than them. So Protoss, you know, since you're expanding, you're letting Protoss expand at the same time. Now Protoss has not scouted your expansion, so this is actually kind of weak by him. Likewise, you don't really know what's going on. Well, actually, he did scout his expansion, so that's very good. You just scouted that. I like to see that. This SV is being very active. And at the same time, he's taking care of his base. He's adding on a couple of barracks, you know, doing a good job of everything. Now, since you do have kind of a bit of money saved up, I would like to see maybe even more barracks. You know, if you're not taking the gas, if you don't plan to take gas right now, add on some more barracks. Or add on another command center if you want to. Okay, so he's taking gas. I would like to see these gases maybe a little bit sooner. You know, just had a little bit of extra money. Not a big deal. So, I mean, you could have gotten these gases a little bit sooner, but since he is adding on a 4th barracks, it's actually not a bad idea. He's keeping his money low, that's good. He needs to add on supply depot. Okay, he's even doing that. So very good. Let's just check out his SCV production. Actually, let's check out all of his production. Right now he's a little bit supply blocked. Alright, now he's not supply blocked. And now you want to be adding on another barrack or another supply depot. Where is it? There it is. Very good. Awesome play so far, Zova. He's just cranking out a lot of Marines. Now, since he did expand, you can't really just expand and then go like 1-1-1 because you're teching up, and if you tech up while you're expanding, you have no units. Like your opponent's just going to come over and kill you. So I mean, this is actually a really nice play. I'm not sure if he's following build order or if he's just doing it, but either way, it's a good play to do. Now Protoss looks like he might gear up to go out. Has some guys out. Just has okay. He has 3 gate robo off 2 bases. Not bad. Observers running around. Alright, so 4 refiners are going to be taken here. Factory going up. Alright, so we got up some Marines with all these barracks. Now he's adding on some add-ons. That's cool. That's cool. I like this a lot so far. Now the reason why you can't just add on to these add-ons right away, I mean, if you expand, you can't really just add on these add-ons right afterward. You want to get up some more barracks and just crank out some guys. Because, I mean, you need guys to defend. I want to stress that a lot for you guys in case you guys screwed that up. But now is a good time to add on the tech labs. You just got the refiners going. You got a factory going. You got some units to defend. And you're going to be able to get more outs as you crank them out. And now you're even getting some marauders out to help out with that. So, very good. I would like to see these mules being used a little bit more diligently. Now, it's not the end of the world. It's not like missing... it's not like you're missing spewing larva for Zerg. That's like kind of a big deal. But getting your mules out will help you quite a bit. So I mean, I would try to do that. At the same time, you could scan for this observer. I'm only pointing that out because it seems as though you're doing... Oh, okay, you didn't scan for that. I was going to say, because you're doing everything really well, so I mean, you want to do a little bit more advanced stuff like checking for observers and all that. So very good. I like this a lot. Looks like Protoss is coming out now. You had the watchtower with these Marines. For the record, I would like to see only one, just so you don't lose both. You know, it looks like they're going to come home fine, but at the same time, that's a little bit of extra damage you could have avoided. So he's adding on some more barracks or bunkers right now, which is very good. And Protoss, wow, he's taking a 3rd right now. So this is actually a really good play so far. Liquid Stick, or Slick, you know, came out, took the watchtower, expanded behind it. Now he's moving out a little bit with his forces, just doing some light pressure. You know, I don't expect him to think, oh, I'm going to kill him right now with these few units. You know, that's not really what this player is thinking. So very good. He showed up to the Terran base. He's moving back. This is actually a really good play. I like to see this a lot. Like, this is like stuff that master level players screw up. So this is really, really awesome. Alright, so now he's got, well, he's missing some SCVs right now. Highlight all these production buildings. Get out some medevacs. Alright, so MMM, very classic, very good. Let's see, Protoss, what's he's teching up? He's got an Immortal. He has his Twilight's out. He's getting his archives up. Where's his archives going up? Back there. Alright, so that's even a good spot for it. So these players are actually playing really well. Their money could be a little bit... they're actually taking care of their money pretty well as well. So this is actually really nice to see. Alright, so now Terran's coming out. And he's actually coming out at a good time. You know, pressuring this with what he can. Don't forget the macro during all this. Looks like your production's kind of failing right now. Definitely want to, you know, all these buildings are not producing. That is huge. I'd say that right now it's looking like you're in Diamond because you're not producing dudes while you're in battle, and then you're just losing all of them. That battle could have definitely gone better. Let's actually rewinding because I wasn't really paying attention to that. I was looking at production. So let's look at the battle a little bit more this time. Alright, so you got traps. Okay, that's just going to happen. So Protoss actually handled this really well. Lift up, very good. So you could have lifted up into these guys, or this medevac. That would have helped out quite a lot. Alright, so doing pretty good, Protoss is just adding on guys, and you're not. I want to say, for the record, if you added on guys during all this, you could have just broken that, possibly. You know? Just set the rally to your army, and make sure your production is good. If your production is good, you're going to defeat anybody who has bad production. Anybody. Which is a lot of freaking players. So I just want to say that right now. Like, you could just make your play so much better just by doing that. Like, you attacked at a good time. Protoss expanded. That could have been yours pretty easily. Now, of course, he had some really good force fields going on. You know, that sucks. But, you know, overall that could have been better. You could have actually dropped at the same time. And personally, as Terran, you want to attack, you know, if it's Terran against Protoss, you want to attack from multiple angles. You know? If you're doing infantry like this, with infantry. If you're going mech, if you're going 1-1-1 or mech, or I guess even 1-1-1, you could send Banshees to the back here, and then you could attack the front with the rest of your crew. But since you do have medevacs, marauders, and marines, what you could do is send one dropship to the back here, send your main army to the front here, and harass the front. Like, say, oh, I'm going to attack your front. You need units at your fronts. And then drop the back and don't actually attack in the front. Like, that's going to be an awesome play. That's the kind of thing I want to see from you from now on. Because you're at the point where you have very good play, you know, very good opening. You use your money very wisely. You got the stuff up at very good timings. Very crisp. It wasn't like, you know, crisp, but it was, you know, for diamond level, very good. But yeah, if you dropped in the back here with one medevac, you could have killed off some probes. Now, his front force might be a lot bigger than your front force. That's fine. Just don't engage it, you know? Just show up and say, you know, threaten the fronts. You don't have to engage. In fact, don't engage. Because you're going to have some guys in the back here, so that's not, you know, your front force is not going to be all that strong. So let's say, try not to do so many frontal pushes with infantry. Try to do... I'm gonna start calling it an angled push. What I mean by that is attack from multiple angles. You know, attack here and then show up here, and you don't actually have to attack this. Just show up and say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna attack here if you don't have dudes here. So that's kind of forcing him into the position of losing guys. I mean, no matter what he does, if he moves his army from here to the back of his main, he's going to lose probes in the meantime, and then you can threaten and attack the front and kill off some probes here. If he sends only some forces to the back here, it's going to take time for him to get there. So actually, he's going to be losing guys then, and then he's not going to have such a big force here, which means you can maybe do some damage here. You don't have to, just, you know, because you're already guaranteeing yourself damage here, so don't even worry about it. Now, you don't actually know about the expansion at the top here, but that would have helped out a little bit. You could have threatened this as well. Instead of attacking the main or the natural here, you could have dropped in the back of the main and then attacked the third here. So I mean, a little bit of scouting could have helped the situation a little bit, not a huge deal. Anyways, let's move on. Protoss is dropping in the back, and this is gonna suck. Now, drops rock. Do you know why it drops rock? Because your forces are usually in the front. So this drop is gonna do guaranteed damage. See, that was guaranteed damage. If he leaves right now, awesome, awesome. This is awesome. That is a very good play. I like to see this a lot. You kill off something, just leave. Like you're just being a dick, but that's what you want to be doing. That is the best play imaginable. Be the douchebag that just drops the base, kills something off, and just leaves. Like, how awesome is that? That's what you want to be doing. And killing off that dude. The armory is delayed, going after the supply depot. Now he's going to leave before actually losing anything. And actually, that was 0 damage. He took 0. Oh, okay, now he took some damage. Alright, so now this Void Prism just took some damage. But as he was leaving, that was 0 damage. This Immortal took damage on the shields. No hit points were lost on either of these Immortals. I just want to stress that because that is awesome. That is what you want to be doing. That is key. Alright, so now you're getting up a lot of Marauders. I'll just be a little bit careful of that. Definitely make sure you get enough Marines, especially since you're seeing a lot of Immortals. Looks like his macros kind of slipping a little bit. Alright, so now he's adding a lot of Zealots, so I mean, Marauders are okay. Marines would be okay too. And yeah, that extra base is actually going to help him a lot. Definitely scout around that time. Now, if this is just a ladder, I presume, so I mean, it's not like a tournament. If it was a tournament, definitely scout it. If you didn't scout it, that's just dumb. If you're doing a ladder and you don't scout it, then okay, you know, it's kind of like, okay, I'm lazy, I don't want to really scout it right now, I'm preoccupied. Yeah, that's fine. Like, I don't always want to scout for pylons when I'm Zerg against Protoss. That's, you know, that's just kind of what happens, but at least be mindful of it, you know. And alright, so now you're showing up once again in the front. Again, I would like to see a drop in the main. Just that kind of attack is really nice, because you can guarantee yourself some damage. Right now you're just attacking his army. Like, you're losing guys and he's losing guys. If you both lose guys, then I mean you get maybe slightly ahead. Whereas if you lost a building, if you lost a pylon, that means that he's supply blocked. He's not gonna be able to add on guys. So that's actually a good way of getting ahead, just taking out a pylon. Likewise, you go for probes. Production buildings are better to kill off, but at the same time, they have a lot more hit points, so that's not usually the target you go for. But just saying. Alright, so now you're taking the gold. You took out the rocks previously. Very good. Getting out some ghosts to do some good EMPs and all that. Even getting up the Mobius reactor for the extra energy. And now there are High Templar out. So actually, your ghosts are at an extremely good timing too. So I mean, I'd say strategically, I mean, build order wise, you're doing extremely well. Your timings are extremely good. So at this level, I'd say definitely work on your attack angles. You know, drop in the main while attacking the fronts. Now, if you're not a very fast player, if you're having trouble keeping up with stuff, there's certain things you can do. Like, for example, you know, like let's see, your barracks are on 7 or on 4. Your starport's on 5. Where's your... Okay, you're not using your factory. That's fine. You can use it to scout. You know, that's kind of a little bit above and beyond, but I mean, if you wanted to, you could lift it up, send it over here, see that he has no units here, and then just drop. You know, then you guarantee that you're able to drop successfully. Now, as far as techniques go for dropping, if you're not used to dropping at all, and you know, if you're just starting out dropping, then that's obviously where you are. But if you're not used to it, all you need to really do is, okay, so you have this 3 that's not being used, right? Personally, I like to use 3 as like my special task force. Okay, I use 1 and 2 as my main army, and then 3 is the special task force. Like 1 will be Zerglings, 2 will be like Roaches and Hydras, and then 3 will be like a drop I'm doing. So with that in mind, if you have 1 medevac, you know, just load up 1 medevac. It looks like you don't have any anymore, but if you had, or here's 1. Alright, so load it up, put it on 3, like just click over here, tell them to drop here, or back here, or whatever. And then go back to your army, you know, move them out wherever they need to be, and just be mindful of the mini-map here, and see where the drop is. You know, once it gets to this spot, or around this, you know, once it gets into the Protoss base, you know, just glance at it. You know, even if you don't have time to glance at it, maybe you're microing your army in the center here. You know, just be mindful of the mini-map. Look down here and say, okay, does he have units by my dropship? If you have units, then yeah, hit 3 and click back to your base. You don't have to move your screen over there, just tap 3, click back over here on the mini-map, and then hit 1 or 2 or whatever for your army and continue the micro. And then of course, you know, I talked about this a little bit before. Of course, go back to 4 and 5 and build units. And then, you know, 6 for your command centers to build SCVs. Let's see, unit counting tab. Well, your SCVs are okay. They could definitely be better though. Probes are a lot better right now. So Liquid Slick is doing a better job on his probes. So, and just for the record, I don't know if you know this yet or not, but if you have, say, like 18 SCVs at this mineral patch plus the 3 or the 6 that go into the gas, and then you have like 18 here and then 3 in the gas and then 3 in this gas, you still want to be adding on SCVs. Do not say, oh, I have enough for this base, I can stop now. No. No, 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 no. If you're going for an all-in play, that's what you do. Since you're not going for an all-in play, since you have this command center going, and you never want to go, just don't go for an all-in play, because sooner or later you're going to reach a point where your all-in is always going to be stopped. So don't do it. So I mean, since you are going to get a third, just keep add on SCVs, and then you can just transfer over. And then when you have 3, just keep producing SCVs. And then when you get a 4th, you can just transfer some over, and you're just always going to be saturated. Now, if you want to, on like 8 or 9 or 0, what you can do is just like keep adding your SCVs once in a while. You don't have to constantly do it, but once in a while, check how many you have. Personally, I don't do this. I am actually pretty good about knowing when to stop making drones. Usually I'd stop at like 90, so I mean, I actually overdo it a little bit, but that's actually something I need to work on. But if you wanted to, if you're not good at it, you can just select all of your SCVs, hotkey them to one group, and then know roughly like how many SCVs you have. Like obviously one would be in the gas here, one would be in the gas there, one will be in the gas here and there, and so I mean you won't have all your SCVs, but you can just like box them here, box them there, box them here, and if you add some here, you can box that too, and then just go like, oh, control 0, and then you know how many SCVs you have. You can stop at 80 or whatever you want to stop at. So yeah, there's that as well. Let's see. Okay, so now you're producing. Oh, you can't select them all at once with that. That would have been nice. Oh well. See, overlay is gone. I want to keep checking that, you know, to make sure I don't screw that up. Anyways, Protoss has a ton of Zealots. Holy crap. Alright, so this movement was okay. He cut into the middle and then up there. On this map, it's not hard to screw up movements, but on other maps, like for example, if this was a valley in the center here, splitting the center down in the middle, and then had like, well, and then had like these openings up here, let's say, and down here, I would say go this way and then cut up. You know, go towards your opponent and then cut to his base. You know, to where his units will probably be, because then he'll have a hard time attacking you. I just want to point that out because some people screw that up. Actually, a lot of people screw that up. So, anyways, a pretty good attack. At the same time, you're kind of getting cornered. You want to be very careful with that. Now, moving up the ramp, he could storm you on the ramp. Looks like he doesn't have enough for storm, so he lucked out. And, well, so okay, so the ramp helped you out a lot. It could have hurt you a lot, so I'm just gotta be careful of that. Just, you know, you're doing some good damage. That's good. You're taking out some gateways. If you didn't have gateways up there, that stack would be all that awesome. But yeah, once again, you are cornered, which sucks. Cornered. You're gonna lose all your guys. Like if he just has, like if you're not able to take his army, you're just gonna lose all your dudes. Like that's not good. So, what I'd say instead, and you can do this with tanks, with Thors, with Marines and Marauders. It doesn't matter what units you have. In fact, you can do this with Protoss or Zerg too. What you do is, you send your, you know, you're cutting up here, right? So that, you know, up this path here, just to make it harder for him to counterattack you, or, you know, if he was moving to your base, he has to meet your army in the process. You know, that's the idea there, so that he can't really attack you at the same time you're attacking him. Which is just really good play. But, okay, so you move your army up here, and before you get into the corner, you know, make sure you have an escape route with your main army. Now, you could park them right here if you wanted to. You could go after this base that's up here, but then send like a portion of it, like a small force, like this, like these many guys. Send them up here to this base. You can take out a lot of stuff. If he warps in guys, you can send him back, if he, his main army is probably going to be here, maybe here or so. If his main army comes to your main group, your main group can retreat, and you're going to just have a loss of like 10 guys, you know? You're not going to have a loss of your entire army. So, I mean, that's a way to like guarantee damage, because you're going up here with a small task force, guaranteeing damage while still having to retreat for your main force. That's always going to be good, because you don't want to be cornered like that. And if you're really good, you can also drop in the back here at the same time. So this drop should have been a little bit sooner. I'm not going to harp on that too much. I already talked about it a little bit. And, since you are diamond level, I'm not going to say, oh, you're terrible because you didn't do it sooner. It's just, something you might want to work on. So there's that. Excuse me, still have a cough. I'm actually really hungry too. I'm going to eat so much food after this. Oh man, I'm going to buy some steaks. It's going to be good, man. It's going to be good. So anyways, you're still cornered up here. All your dudes stemmed a lot, so they're pretty much dead. And they just die, Whereas if you had a retreat path, you could have had them come back here. Medevacs are there standing by to repair any hurt dudes. So now you got to drop them back. You're taking out that robotics. You lifted up very good. And now you're retreating. So that went actually really well. I like that a lot. I'll just work on it a little bit more, Try to do what you can. But yeah, since you lost your main force, that kind of sucks. But at the same time, you did take out a lot of his force, so I mean, that actually worked out. It just sucks that you weren't able to kill off this Nexus. Like, you went up there, and you lost your big force. Like, if you're losing your big force, you should at least be taking out something. Whereas you kind of just traded armies, which is fine. You traded armies, he came out on top. So, I mean, since he has more bases, he's just ahead. He's still ahead. So you pretty much didn't get ahead at all. And you want to try to do things that make you ahead in that situation. So, I mean, a Protoss with that many bases is not very good. You want to keep them low on bases. Starve them out. Alright, so we got some ghosts. I got some good dudes pulling through. You have a Viking in the back here kind of randomly. That's fine, that's fine. At this point, now you don't have to do this. This is just something I'm suggesting. I'm not sure if it's a good idea or not even. But just to keep you thinking, really. My idea is, since you have ghosts already, since you already have a Ghost Academy, where is that thing? There it is. If you wanted to, you could get like maybe 2 Ghost Academies. You have the gas for it. And not that, well, nukes are kind of gas expensive, I guess, but just get 2 of them, crank out a couple of extra ghosts, and a couple of extra medevacs. This is all like gas, kind of gas heavy stuff. You need to spend more gas, so that actually would fit into this kind of play. Now, you load up a couple of ghosts, 1 in each medevac. You drop 1 here. Well, maybe not here anymore. Maybe you want to scoot it back here along this back end and then set them down there. You could put off a nuke here, put off a nuke here, and a nuke here at the same time. Now, if your opponent is extremely good, chances are he might be able to move all of his probes. He'd be like, oh, he's nuking here and here and here. He might realize, okay, there's 3 nukes, and just account for it. But if he doesn't have that kind of speed, or if you're, maybe you're engaging in the middle here, and maybe, like, let's say he has a bunch of sentries with his army, he needs a force field right now, or he needs to, like, move his Colossus back or something like that. You can distract him with these nukes. Now, it actually takes less APM to do these nukes than for Protoss to respond to it. I mean, especially if you're attacking in the middle, like you're attacking and moving your guys around up here. You just have a ghost here, and then you just say, okay, I'm going to nuke here. That's like selecting your ghost and then clicking the nuke button and clicking where it needs to go. Do that there, do that here, and then do that here. And then go back to your army to micro it. He has to like say, okay, I need to move all my probes here. A big box, move them here. Big box, move them here. And this is like after finding the dot. He has to look for the dot and then move his guys, and then, oh look, my sentries are actually dead now. I can't force field anymore, or my Colossus are actually dead now. Like that kind of thing would be really awesome. I'd like to see that kind of play, but of course it does take a little bit more APM. So, if you can pull it off, maybe just play around with it. Have some fun with it. If you can't do it, you can't do it. But worth the shot, worth a little bit of theory crafting, type of thing. So, No, maybe you just hate this idea. That's fine. You know, I'm not gonna say, oh, you should definitely do my idea. You know, if you don't like it, don't do it. But you know, let's keep the wheel turning in your head. You know. So, anyways, you got a bunch of guys here. I'd like to see them a little bit more active at this level of play. I mean, I'd say that's. I mean, you're doing pretty good spending your money. You know, you got your gas down. That's really awesome. You're at 200 food. So just try to use your army more. If you're at 200 food, try to use it. So Protoss, you know, has a bunch of bases here, and he has some pretty good high tech. He has all these Archons. You know, if you fight him in a head-to-head battle, Protoss is probably gonna win. You know why? Because he has these high tech units, whereas you're still on low tech units. If you have a 200 food army of low tech units, they're not gonna fare very well against very high food counts of high tech units. The reason being, you know, high tech units like these, like a Templar costs what, like 2 food, Archon is 4 total, whereas a Marauder is 2, a Ghost is 2, I think, maybe it's 1. Let me just check that really quick. Yeah, Ghost is 2, Marauder's 2, Marine is 1, Medevac is 2, I believe. So I mean, your food count is kind of high considering what you have, whereas a Templar, one Storm could kill off like half your army. So I mean, you gotta, or at least deal like a good amount of damage to them, you know. So I mean, you gotta be careful. Looks like you got up some good EMPs here, microing pretty well. Meanwhile, you do have a drop in the backyard like that. Now he's coming over here. Try to lift off. You know, if you can't do it, then you can't do it. But some good storms coming off. Try to micro him back. So yeah, it's at this point in time, it's really kind of difficult having so many things going on at any given time, but just strive to do it. You know, the more you do it, the better you are going to be at it. You know, some guys up there, kind of a mistake, not a big deal. Try to just do it better. So I mean, I'm seeing your play actually not bad. Just, you know, little things that you need to just keep practicing. So just keep practicing your play, and you'll actually get a lot better. Yeah, just practice these drops. You're doing pretty good now, you know, dropping various places and whatnot. Let's see, this game's actually going to be wrapping up soon. Let's put it on ×2 and blow through it. And then we'll get on to the next game. These just kind of dropped. They're like, oh, there's no guys there. Oh, now I can lift off. That's fine. That might happen if you're, you know, just around dropping. If you can, you know, try to realize it sooner so you can get down here and do some more damage a little bit sooner. Looks like Zealous and Archon coming back. And yeah, you're kind of cornered. You want space. If you have Marine, Marauder, Medevac, you want some space to move back. Otherwise, these Archons are just going to tear you up. And yeah, once again, because you're at 200 food and he's at 200 food and he has a high-tech army, you're just going to lose. So, I mean, now, if you wanted to, you can go into tanks. You can go into, like, battle cruisers. Like, by all means, if you want to switch into battle cruisers, do it. Now, of course, you do have a lot of barracks already built. So, I mean, you can't really just switch as Terran. That's kind of the thing about Terran. You can't just go from low-tech to high-tech like Zerg can, for example. Excuse me. So, I mean, if you found a way to incorporate that in your strategy, then, and you want to do that, then yeah, you can do that. Like, maybe you start off with, like you know, you build on, like, 6-7 barracks, and then you reach like 120 food, and then you can start adding on factories and go into more tanking stuff, and that would actually be really cool. Because as you get more bases, you can get more gases. You know, you don't have to have this completely saturated at your minerals. You could actually just have 3 guys at this gas, 3 guys at this gas. I mean, like 6 guys at these minerals, and get up a ton of gas. With that gas, you can get Marauder tank, and then, like, yeah, because I mean, think about it. How many Protosses actually go Void Ray these days anymore? You know, so I mean, you can do like a nice heavy anti-ground force, and then just add on something for anti-air, maybe a couple Vikings for Colossus or something like that. You know, and you know, tanks aren't going to be so good against these Zealots, but they're going to be pretty good against Archons. And the Marauder is going to help out against the Zealots, and Marines, of course, you can still add on Marines if you want, you know. So, I mean, you can just, like, transition into, like, a higher tech army if you wanted to. I'm not saying it's the best choice. Personally, I'd rather see you use the barracks as much as possible and just drop more. But, again, that is, like, you know, it's not easy to do. You got, like, a lot of shit to do. Yeah, more ghosts could have helped. That's true. You do have the gas for it. You know, try to keep your minerals and gas both low. if you have like say like 1,000 minerals and 3,000 gas, try not to add on Marines or Hellions. Try to add on gas heavy stuff. If you want, even go into Thors. Get something like extremely gas heavy. Get some battle cruisers, like freaking. It doesn't even matter anymore. Like if you wanted to go all the way to starport tech, get up like 2 or 3 starports, get battle cruisers. It sounds absurd. It really does. But if you're able to, you're able to. I mean, if you're doing some good damage early on, before he gets these Archons out, before he gets a ton of Templar out, if you could harass, add on a base while you're teching up. Now, this is something that I think a lot of high-level players do not consider. Some pro players do that, and people are like, wow, that's awesome. They just did this right now, and it's, like they've got this tech at this awesome time. He's switching into this unit right now while adding on this Nexus, and he's also doing this good harass type of thing. It's like, it's totally awesome. Like, if you're able to do that, that is awesome. Like, strategically, that's what you want to be doing, because that's gonna make you awesome. But yeah, use the gas. If you want to take into more stuff. If you don't want to, you can just drop more, but that takes a lot of APM, so yeah. Alright, so let's get into game number 3 here. I am kind of harping on a lot of these, I'm talking in detail about a lot of stuff. I think this is actually going pretty well. You guys can tell me later on, when I ask some questions, if I'm doing a bad job, you can tell me and I can maybe change. If you have some good feedback, please let me know. I'd really like some feedback. If you tell me try not to harp on things so much, we get it, that's fine. I can move on a little bit faster. So yeah, let's look at some more games here. Alright, so this is another Terran against Protoss. But this one is master level. Like, I think it's a low master's level play. Let's remove the overlay and all that good stuff. Alright, so we have Jesus. Oh, wait. Okay, it was on faster. Alright, so we have Jesus Rocks as our orange Protoss player. And we have Entry as our Terran player, our purple Terran player. So it's purple against orange. They're not red and blue. I don't think this is a ladder game. I think it's just a custom game. I'm not sure if it's his friend or not. But yeah, it is Antigua Shipyard. Pretty good map. I like this map quite a bit. Terran against Protoss, I'm not really sure about the details too much. So I mean, it doesn't really matter as much. I mean, if a Terran player was going 1-1-1, then Banshees could be a problem if you have pylons out here and all that. But for Protoss out here. Likewise, the main's not huge, but it's big enough that you could do some nice Void Prism drops. Or I always call them Void Prisms. I'm not sure why, but they're Warp Prisms. So just for the record, the Warp Prism was going to be a Void Prism, but they changed it to Warp Prism. It's the same thing, really, So that's probably why I keep making the mistake. But anyways, Entry going to be doing an early Scout after that supply depot. That's fine. Scout as you want. I don't care. Early Scouts is what I prefer, but if you don't want to, if you have a good timing for scouting, then yeah, scout when you want. Alright, so probe is coming out to scout as well. We are on ×2, so yeah, this probe is just not, he's not Superman, he's on ×2. Don't worry about it. Alright, so the SV ran right by that probe. So yeah, you can assume that your opponent's in this bottom corner then. Unless Protoss scouted at like 6 or something like that, that's just not going to happen otherwise. Alright, so SV's out. You found the base, you found the Cybernex core, you're moving out, that's fine. Protoss is out here. Looks like you're going to be taking this dude out. So you have the barracks hidden in the corner there. I like that a lot, actually. Excuse me. Get up a reactor. Alright, this reactor I don't really like. Some people will tell you, okay, it's fine to get a reactor, but I don't know. It's just like you could have gotten up another barracks instead of this this refinery, and it's pretty much the difference between. It's kind of like a way of powering, or a way of teching. It's like you're telling this building, okay, you're not going to produce any units right now. You're going to be building this tech lab or this reactor. If you're building this reactor, you're not making units. If you're not making units, you're not going to be strong enough to defend against an early push. Now, if Jesus Rocks had a Sentry Zealot coming out, they would be about like right here right now. So I mean, by the time they get here, you could be in kind of a lot of trouble. You know, you need those Marines out right away. Actually, they could even be like up here. So I mean, just gotta be careful of that. I would say definitely add on another barracks, delay this gas. Yeah, and just get up another barracks instead. Add on your reactor later on. I've had a Grandmaster level player tell me that it's okay to add on that reactor, but personally, I really don't like it. And I'm pretty sure Day 9 will say the same thing, that it's not the best idea, for the reasons that I have already stated. Alright, so now you're getting a tech lab on this one. And yeah, and then later on you can add on the reactors when you have some forces out and you feel well defended. Alright, so Protoss looks like he is going for robotics facility off 1 gate. That's fine. So I mean, you're fine with this play just because of what Protoss did. I'm not sure if you like looked at the simulator and said, "Oh, his simulator's not going to be attacking me" or something like that. If that's the case, then yeah, that's fine if you want that reactor at that point. Just make sure he scouts and all that. So yeah, I'm not really saying that this reactor was terrible. I'm just saying that, you know, if you didn't scout, I mean, if you just added on because, then yeah, don't do it. But if you added it on in reaction to what Protoss was doing, yeah, that's perfectly fine then. Alright, so anyways, enough of that. I'm just trying to make sure that I get this point across. So I do tend to say things in a way that people don't quite understand. So I just want to make sure I tell it in various ways so people get the gist. Alright, Marines coming out, Marauders coming out, doing some light pressure, very good. Protoss is expanding right now, so you're going to actually maybe do some damage. Looks like he's expanding after the Immortal, which is very good on his parts. And okay, so we got some dudes at the Watchtower. I'd say push forward even. You know, push forward, go down here. If you want to wait for these reinforcements, that's fine. Looks like that's what you're doing. And you're expanding behind this. So this is really nice. You know, I would expect nothing less from a Masters level player. You know, expanding, you set up this command center at a good time, send these guys out at a good time in relation to that command center, and now you're adding on factors. So you're powering up right now and expanding while doing some light pressure. Very good. I'd like to see this maybe move up a little bit sooner. You have that SV out, so that's even better. You're scouting with that SV, seeing what's going on. And if your army was like right here, like right behind the SCV, that like I would have liked that a lot. But I don't know, there might be an observer out watching your army and then the SV. If you want to build that bunker, then yeah, that's fine. So I'm not too picky about that. Alright, so you're threatening that, you're putting up the bunker, going after the Immortals, hopefully. Some good pullback, some good attack forward. Macro is bad. No good, man. You want to be macroing. 600 minerals, no good, man. 8 minutes in, that is terrible for master level play. You want to get better at that. That'll boost you up to a higher master level. I mean, it seems as though a lot of players at like diamond or low masters, and that's actually where I fall. Like I'm low, like I'd consider myself maybe low masters. I don't really ladder, so I don't know where I'd really put myself. I mean, I don't really play seriously anymore, but I see a lot of players have really good plays, know how to move their units, know how to do stuff, but they just like neglect macro a little bit, or their command center is a little bit late. That kind of thing is what's going to push you up a little bit further. You know, the higher up you are, the more the little things count. So macro isn't really a little thing. So I mean, it's actually a big thing. I mean, if you miss it for like a couple seconds, that's a little thing. If you miss it for like a minute or like the whole time you're in battle, that's a pretty big thing. You want to fix that right away. So I'd work on that for sure. Now we're just producing a couple guys. You teched up during this, which was good. And now you're spending your money, so that's good. You want to not have idle SCVs. I don't know if you're just being lazy or what, but you know, I'm sure you should have them rallied to the minerals as soon as you place down the barracks. You know, every time you see a little icon in the corner, you should be looking for it a little bit. A big red flag should be going up and saying, "Oh, I need to move those guys." Like, you know, that's kind of a big deal to me. Alright, so you got that bunker, you got your SV still alive. Looks like you're going to be salvaging it and moving on back after forcing that cancel. Very nice. Very, very nice. I like that a lot. Very good, strong play. Now, of course, Protoss does have his robotics bay up, but you did some nice guaranteed damage. You're going to be getting up your expansion right now. You get up your bunkers and all of that. You got your tech going. So I mean, I'd say that was a very good exchange for you. Very good exchange. Not like a little bit of a good exchange, like a very good exchange. So, yeah, Protoss. I mean, it's not going to push you ahead in a big way, but executing it and how it was done, and everything makes it really good. So I like it a lot. All right, so now you got up a bunch of barracks. You're producing duders. Now with that tech lab, you got to actually at a good time. So get up those stem upgrades. No combat shield yet. You got the concussive, of course. And so I'm, whatever I said about that, you actually did it quite well. All right, so now you're doing all this good stuff, adding on some refiners at a good time. I mean, you just got up your starport and factory. You're going to need some gas. Actually, I would have liked to see it a little bit sooner. This command center was a little bit late in getting down here. I would have, I'd worked on that a little bit. Your mules, okay, you got one saved up. That's all right because you might want to scan. Scan for Dark Templars. It's around the time when you might see one. Of course, you did see the Immortals, so you don't really need to, but, it's good to just have one anyways. So now you're moving out. Once again, you got your drops, or medevacs, I should say. I'm just going to start calling them drops, because it sounds awesome. But, alright, so you're pressuring the fronts once again. He does have Colossus out with the Thermal Lance. Alright, you scan there. This, I do not like to see. He said, alright, he doesn't have a big force, I'm going to just scoot forward and attack before he's able to warp in guys. That sounds good, but at the same time, you don't know what's back. Well, I guess you kind of do, because the radius of these scans are pretty darn huge. But he could have some extra guys back there and just hide them. I've actually run into a couple players like that, that'll hide half their army and be like, oh, I'm really weak right now. Attack me, bring it on. And then they just show up with a bunch of sentries and you just lose all your guys because they're force fielded. It's not really something you're going to run into a lot, but it could happen, so you just want to be prepared for that. And I'll just keep it on your mind if you're doing this kind of attack. Now this might actually work out. I'm not unpausing it because I'm not sure if it's going to work out or not. It could work out in your favor. But since you do have these medevacs, I'd say take advantage of the fact that these Colossus are slow. 2.25 movement speed, 2.25 movement speed. Now these Marines and whatnot do have the same movement speed, but with the medevac, actually, well, how fast are medevac? 2.5, so a little bit faster. You could just drop here. And these stalkers are actually back here to guard against that, so he's actually doing a really good job against that. But I mean, you could maybe scan the fronts or the main here, look for a drop opportunity to drop, since you do have the drop capabilities. I don't know. We'll see how this plays out. Alright, so we're going straight for the Colossus. Alright, so I mean, I understand that. That's good. But at the same time, that's not as good as you might think. Like, you just lost sizable force. I mean, lost tab, I'm not sure how it was before. Actually, let's go back and look at it. Analyze it a little bit more in depth. Alright, so actually before this, Terran, you're actually doing really good on this lost tab. This whole army is not worth killing off these two Colossus. Let's unpause, we'll show and see them all die. Yeah, see that just go up. And now you're going for the Colossus. Alright, so now it drops. Alright, now it's going back up. I'm losing guys. This Colossus drops again, now it's going back up, and now you lose the rest of the guys. So yeah, trading things like that sounds really good, but I would have rather seen a drop and guaranteed a bigger loss on his front. Like, why exchange forces, or why exchange when you could just kill stuff for free? It's awesome. It's totally awesome. That's what you want to be doing. So I mean, that's something you might want to look at. And that actually seems like the theme of today. It seems kind of strange. That's kind of how the replays of today are going. Check and make sure there's no overlay. Cool. But yeah, that could have worked out better. And at the same time, I would wish this was a little bit sooner. It seems as though you plopped it down when you're kind of about here going into his base. I'd like to see it just a little bit sooner if you can. As soon as you move out of your base, you can cut production out of these slightly, and then just get up a command center a little bit sooner if you want to. Yeah. Yeah. Now, of course, you did. Okay, you're spending your money. You're doing all right. Another starports, getting up some Vikings and all that good stuff. Looks like he's not adding on any Colossus right now. Okay, he's got one in production. Another Robo on the way, so he's actually going to go pretty high on the Robo. So I like the fact that you're going for starport. If you wanted to, you could even get a Tech Lab off this and get a Banshee going. Now, of course, you don't really know he's going for that second Robo, but I mean, I'm just saying, Banshee harass could work. Like this is something that I think a lot of players are not used to, even at high level play. I'm really surprised that more people are not being a little bit more active about this. Like, this seems extremely logical to me. Players see a unit like a Banshee or like a Mutalisk and say, oh, I can only use that to harass early on, I can't use it ever again. That's the only reason why you get it. No, you can harass all game long. Just use it. Like, you don't even need to get it early on. Just get it later if you want to. You know, get some Banshees going, harass this. You know, of course, he's probably going to have a Robo by now. He's probably going to have an Observer out by now. Yes. And yes, he could just warp in some guys in the back here. But if you're here with some Banshees, you can kill off like 2 probes, run away as his Stalkers are warping in. Use those Banshees later on to do it again, and he's just going to have a smaller force here. Like, for example, like he has a piling going up, right? If he warps in 2 guys in the back here, or however many guys, he's going to be able to warp in less guys at the front. So with that in mind, you're going to be able to defend and do whatever you want to that army. I mean, it's going to just be smaller. Now, of course, since you're getting up those Banshees, your army's going to be smaller too. But at the same time, you're guaranteeing a little bit of damage off those probes. And those 2 Banshees, let's say just produce 2 Banshees, they can be used all game long, as long as you don't lose them. You got to maintain them, you know, make sure they don't die. That's the key thing here. Don't let them die, and you can use them all game long. That's gonna be awesome. That is awesome. I think actually pro players do that sometimes. They have some Banshees out or drops or whatever. You know, just keep the harass going all day long. It's gonna make it hell for your opponent. Trust me on that one. Even if you lose the game, it's gonna feel awesome too. Just be like, oh, I dropped here and there and everywhere, like all game long, like, yeah, I lost, but like I did it, you know. It's just like, it feels really good to be able to do that kind of play. So, you know, let's work on it. I like to stress this kind of thing, if you haven't noticed. But anyways, looks like for us doing some good damage. Got so many Vikings, he just doesn't have any Colossus out right now. Kind of happens. But yeah, if you didn't lose this force down here, this would have gone a lot better. You know, especially now that you have these Vikings out. Like, you took away the use of the Vikings, and then you built the Vikings afterwards. I was kind of confused about that. If you kill the Colossus, if you lose your entire army to kill off a couple of Colossus, and, like, you know, it's like in this instance, it wasn't even trade. You don't need to make Vikings to kill off more Colossus, because you're not going to have them right away. Just work on your ground force a little bit more, and then get Vikings maybe, you know, just delayed a little bit, you know, get some more other dudes. I got this like tickle in my throat that's not going away, and it's making me cough a lot. I apologize. But yeah, for the record, 2 starports making Vikings is kind of a lot. But yeah, he does have 2 Robos going with Colossus, so I mean, it's kind of understandable, but at the same time, you know, just if he has 1 billion Colossus, he's not going to have many ground forces. If he doesn't have many ground forces, your ground force is going to tear through those guys, and then the Vikings will eventually kill all the corrupt or the you know, other guys. So I mean, don't worry about it so much. You don't need a ton of Vikings. Looks like he has 5 for now, and yeah, now these. Okay, now he's using them. All right, so now he's going to have 9 in second. Yeah, 9, because he's producing 2 at a time or 4 at a time. That's a lot. Was he have? Oh, okay, I was gonna say if he has another starport, that'd be ridiculous. Yeah, Colossus are scary, but don't worry about it as much as you are. It seems like you're worrying about it a lot. And yeah, get up some more barracks at this point because you have a ton of money. Anytime you expand, you need more barracks. I'm not sure what the count is for barracks if you have just like pure barracks per base. Like for Protoss, for example, if you're going just gateways, you need 4 gateways per base at least. Now you don't need 4 right away, but if they're very saturated, then yeah, you need 4 per base. So if you don't have 4 per if you have 3 bases and you only have like 6 gateways, then there's something wrong. You need to get another one, you know, another set. Looks like this player has 7 plus 2 robos, so he could actually use some more now that he just got that 3rd going. So now his money's going to be growing, just like yours was, other things. So a little bit. Work on your macro. Looks like you're using SCVs, which is good, but you are behind on it. Really behind on SCVs. You want to make sure you crank them out constantly. So yeah, macro on units, macro on SCVs during battle. You know, anytime you attack, you're like, okay, I need to make units. Up, I'm at the watchtower. I don't know, I need to make units. Oh, I just stimmed. I didn't make units. So, like, make a habit out of it. Find something that you like that just tells you, oh, I need to make units right now. You know. But for me, I'm not doing so good at supply depot. Looks like you're not either right now. But you know, I'm trying to get myself to say, you know, I don't play all that often, so it's kind of hard. But if I did, I'd be telling myself every game, oh, I just made units. I need to make a couple of overlords. And I just moved my units to do a counterattack. I need to make an overlord. Oh, I have 1 larva. Let's make an overlord with that larva instead of making a unit. You know, something like that. Like that's, I don't know, just something to get you to, you know, to remember it. And yeah, you're still not. Okay, now you're producing 2 supply depots. All right. Man, I gotta drink some water. Hopefully that helps a lot. Alright, so now we're coming back. Speed this up a little bit. Pylon. For the record, you could expand a little bit sooner. If you have a bunch of extra money, like, okay, if you have X bases, and you have exactly enough production for those bases, right? To constantly be producing, and you're just not making any extra money. If you forget a macro, you forget a production cycle, you're just going to have money you're not going to be able to use, right? Like, let's say you just started to constantly produce out of everything. You're like, oh, shoot, I forgot once or twice, and you have 600 minerals. Use that money to just expand, you know? Like, you're not going to be able to use it unless you get more production buildings or something. So, I mean, you might as well just use it on expansions. So otherwise, that's not going to go away, and, I mean, you might as well use it on something. That's just, like, a good technique to just, you know, you're just going to win a game because of that once in a while, you know? Like, something small like that. Speed it up once again. Looks like Terran's coming in. It's kind of late, but yeah. Alright, so now I can off dudes. Looks like you win the battle, which means you win the game. Alright. He's sprinting forward, going for the Nexus. The Nexus is going down, but the probes are coming off the line, going to be attacking now. The Nexus is gone, and now the plots are back to reinforce that. But it looks like you're going to be losing all your guys, but at the same time, he's going to be losing all his guys as well. So you got his Nexus, so you win. And yeah, so you got all this stuff. Good game. I did kind of bad though. I hate it when players are like that. I really do. I mean, I feel like if you make an excuse after losing, it's kind of like you're lowering your own dignity. You know, just lose with dignity. Just say, okay, you know, I lost. And that doesn't sound like, that sounds like the opposite of dignity, right? So I mean, but I'd say you should have more respect for yourself doing that, because sorry, you're showing that you have more respect, because if you give an excuse, it's like saying, oh, I have low self-esteem, I'm, you know, I could have done better. You know, it's like saying that I just don't feel good about my play. So just don't do it. Just say, you know what, you won. Be slick about it, you know. Alright, so that's one. Alright, I thought this was a... Oh, okay, it is Azure against or, yeah. I just wrote it down wrong. So is the overlay up? Yeah, the overlay's up, cool. Just want to check things out. What should I do first? So I should do this one first because I screwed that up. Yeah. Alright, Carmen, you're up. I don't know if you're watching right now, but you are up. And so let's remove the overlay. Hooray! I didn't forget at all yet, I don't think. You guys can tell me later if I did, and then I'll be like, ah, damn it. But, Carmen, we're going to be doing you number 4 instead of number 5. I did plan to have you number 5, but the other guy, I thought the other one was a Terran against Zerg, but since it's Zerg against Terran, I'm going to do it this way. Since we have been doing Terrans, and now we can get into the mood of Zerg. So since Terran's in our mind, let's do this one. Sorry about that. Too much coughing. Alright, so Carmen, you are our red Terran player. Carmen stated that he has not laddered in like 2 months, or he doesn't like play all that much. He just didn't play in 2 months. This is like his first game in 2 months. Apparently it's versus Diamond, so this is like Diamond level play. Game of Drones is the opponent's Zerg player, and it is Shakur's Plateau. Zerg's doing a very nice early scouts. It almost looks like I'm playing, but I would be better than this. You know, I'm not Diamond. I'm better. Yeah. So anyways, Terran is going to be going with that. Barracks at the ramp. Very good. Drone doing a little bit of harass. SV coming off right away. Yes, good. Awesome. Get that drone. Get him. Oh, he's going to make an extractor. Just for the record, if you're Zerg, you don't need to build it that soon. He doesn't even have his first extractor. He's not going to get 2 right away. If he did, I would be like, yes, he sucks. He got 2 super fast reactors. He's going to have a ton of gas. He's not going to have any SVs, and I'm just going to rock his world. So, yeah, you don't really need to do this early. And just for the record, I don't know if people know this, but while the extractor's going up, and actually it's any building for any race, if it was a refinery or a simulator, would be the same thing. As it's going up, you know, it's slowly making hit points, right? I mean, it's slowly building up to the max hit points, right? If it loses hit points during that, some of it, not all of it, some of it will actually be regenerated as it's being built. So, I mean, I've actually done damage to, I think it was a simulator, actually. And I've actually seen it for Zerg as well, but in this case, the simulator, I was attacking it with a Zergling, I think, or a drone or something like that. Or no, it was the drone. I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to attack it for a little bit. I attacked it for like I don't know how long, it was like maybe like half of its production, and decided not to attack it anymore. Well, as soon as that simulator was done, it was full of both. Same with an extractor, it was full. Same with a refinery. Actually, it might have been a refinery that I'm thinking of, but I'm pretty sure it works with all 3 races for any building. You know, as it's being built, it actually just regenerates some of that. So I mean, with that in mind, you want to put up the extractor when you see that Marine just pop out, or you know, you see him have a gas, and then wait a little bit. You know, maybe this barracks is almost done, then you get it, because then the Marine will come out, attack it, and some of that hit points will be regenerated, and then you can cancel it and do all that fancy stuff if you really want to. But as you can see, I'm not really supposed to be talking about Zerg, but you know, since your opponent is going 2 barracks, you don't really need to even have that. That's just a waste of money. Sorry, Mark coughing. Alright, so anyways, let's look back at Terran, since we're supposed to be talking about him more. Alright, you're going for 2 barracks, which is good. Zerg is going pool first, which is kind of strange. You know, if you want to go pool first against Terran, that's fine. But yeah, this 2 barracks play is not going to be all that awesome. Okay, so you do have the SV running around still. I'll keep it around. You know, definitely keep it around. Try to block this. You weren't able to, not a big deal. It happens. Alright, so now that the pool's done, I'd say check the base. You want to see how many eggs are coming into Zerglings. If there's only 1 or 2, then don't worry about it. Like, assume that he's just going to be scouting if that. And if that's the case, you can just build on the command center after these 2 barracks, or even cut production of these these Marines and build a command center. You know, there's certain times you can cut units, but there's, like, you almost never want to cut SCVs. The idea is what you want to be building up your economy so you can have more units later on, not build up your units and have less economy later on. That just doesn't make sense. So, I don't know, you could just find a way to get that command center up a little bit sooner. That's kind of strange. And since you're diamond, I don't know if you want to do that or not. That seems kind of crazy, but as far as theory crafting goes, that's something you might want to consider. I've seen players do it before, and it's actually really cool. Alright, so you have 4 Marines out. Looks like you are getting up that command center now. As you can afford it, that's fine. You know, that's the safe way, the better way, actually, to do it. But yeah. Any little thing like that, like you see, okay, he's not building units right now, I don't have to worry about Marines. That'll just let me get a command center up sooner, which will, in fact, let me get up another barracks sooner, which will let me get out even more Marines sooner, you know? So it's just like a little cut to make more guys later. Which is just fancy talk for, I don't know, just rearranging your build a little bit. Which makes it a little bit more risky, but has a better payoff if you scout, you know, it just relies on good scouting. You just gotta scout well. Alright, so Zerg does have a couple guys out, you're sending your dudes along. Yeah, that's kind of sucks about Zerg. If you go pool first, then these Marines have a nice timing of right now. Could have been second earlier, actually, so... and yeah, now you're killing off the queen. Maybe, yes, you get the queen. Awesome. Alright, so you went up to the ramp. Very good spot to use those units. Actually, I just want to look back to see if you're producing SCVs. Let's see when you last built an SCV. No SCV still. Wow, this is actually quite a while. Alright, SCV now. Okay, no SCV. Alright, SCV's coming on. Let's actually not speed it up so you have like the feeling of how long it's actually been. Alright, so now it's supply blocked. Gotta worry about that because this is actually setting you back quite a bit. Alright, so supply is going down. Supply blocks are actually a big freaking deal. That's why it's fundamental number 2. It's that important. Like that's the second thing you ever want to work on. Of course, you're gonna miss it once in a while. You know, that's just what's gonna happen. Just try to work on it. Alright, so SV is in production again. Alright, another SV, good. So you actually got a long period of time where you weren't building any dudes because of that supply block. So with that in mind, you're actually not as good as you could have been on SVs. Like this SV count could have been like 21 by now. 21 SCVs to 18 looks a lot better than 19 to 18, you know? So just a little thing like that. Now you have the command center up, so it's okay. Now you can get the orbital. There it is. Yeah, so now you can get some mules out, get some more SCVs. You got your bunker going up and a barracks. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Zerg. Okay. Alright, now I would say that with that attack with your Marines, I'm going to rewind just slightly. I'm going to just fast forward again when after I go over this point, but I think it was here. Okay, let's fast forward to when you move out. Alright, so now you move out. Actually, that move out could have been, try to give them, like that 1 second that was sitting there, like you waited for your reinforcements, that's fine, that's good. But as soon as they catch up, you should move out. Because a second like that could cost you a lot. Like that's the difference between Zerglings being out exactly when you're there or not being out for a second or two, and you're actually able to pick off an extra couple of drones or a queen, and then with that in mind, he doesn't have that queen attacking you while his Zerglings are attacking you, and you're actually going to do even more damage. So like that 1 second is actually a big deal. Now, since you're only diamond, that's something you might want to consider, or maybe you want to hold it off and just worry about macro and stuff like that. I'd try to work on the big things that are really important, then work on these little subtle things that I'm talking about now. So definitely work on macro. That supply depot was a big issue, so do that. What was the other thing I was going to do? Alright, so he knows you're coming. You went to the watchtower, he sees you coming, which is what every Zerg should do. So he's producing Zerglings. He's producing Zerglings and a spine crawler. You don't actually need to attack now. You just force them to make units. Be like, oh man, I'm just gonna run back. Like no matter what, Zerg has to make units now. Not drones. It has to make units. So with this force, you could actually just run back. Like, after you get to the watchtower, you make it look like you're definitely going to be attacking. You know, denying vision of this watchtower. Do not just, like, you know, try to kill off these Zerglings if possible. But, you know, you see him on the retreat. You can't catch up to him, you can't. And then just say, okay, I'm going to run back. So these 6 Marines are going to help you in the long run, whereas the Zerglings that he's making right now, yes, they will join up with his bigger force, but as Zerg, the idea is you want those to be drones, because with those drones, you're going to be able to get up a lot more units later on. So the fact that he's getting some units now means that he's going to have less units later on. So that's kind of like the opposite of what you might think, you know? So Zerg's kind of like the opposite in that way. So with that in mind, you're actually already doing damage. Not in the fact that you're, like, you know, lowering some hit points on some units or killing off some drones or something like that. You're doing damage in the fact that you're forcing him to not have so many drones. So just pull back, you know, you're already doing enough already. Pull back. And I as Zerg, once I see this, like my opponent pushes out like this and then moves back, I'm like, oh man, I spent all these units. I gotta do this better now next time, you know, like make sure that this doesn't happen. So anyways, let's go back. Alright, so here's where we were before. You're getting up at your barracks, your expansion is done. Zerg is just kind of coming out of his base, looking around. He's getting his Baneley Nest at a pretty good time. You lowered your barracks down here. I like that a lot. This is actually really cool. You have a very nice, tight defense here. That's going to be pretty hard for Banelings to get in there. You could just bust it down, of course, but I mean, this is still a narrow spot, even if this bunker fell. So with that in mind, you're sitting pretty good. So now you're moving out once again. Let's take it off ×2 since you're coming out. SCV production and Marine production, okay. Gas is getting a little bit high, or no, that's Zerg. Your minerals getting a little bit high. Okay, well that's okay. Yeah, that's fine. You're macroing. All right, dudes, you're coming out. All right, you're getting a command center up. That's very good. You're expanding while doing pressure. Now, before I even see this commence, before I see you even come up to him, I want to say that if you are okay, let me put it this way. If you're going for an all-in play, meaning that you do not have this command center here, you're just gonna. Your idea is you want to constantly produce units and just try to kill them, and you're going all in. You know, if you want, you can bring SVs then too. You know, to complete it. Then yeah, attack him, try to kill him. However, if you're expanding, do not attack him. I'm just gonna say it this way because players screw this up. Do not attack him. They'll see a pro player move out and say, okay, he's attacking right now. Okay, now that's. I'm not even going to call it attacking because that is not the right mindset. Pressure. Pressure, pressure, pressure. Come out of your base. Like I said before, go to the watchtower. If you want, you can move all the way up here. But then freaking retreat. Get out of there. Because this is already going to be safe then. You know, the idea is you want to make this safe. Like Day 9 says all the time, while you're attacking, expand. Or while you're expanding, attack. But I think people are like, okay, I need to attack, I need to go in there and do some damage. No. That is not what we're talking about. Okay, overlay's down, or gone. I keep checking that, I just want to make sure. But, do not attack. You want to run up here, you see the creep, you make sure that he knows you're coming, and then fall back. Even if he doesn't see you, that's fine, just run back. The idea is you're making it so that you are safe. Okay, so if he has units up here, and let's say he's prepared to attack you, then they're gonna, like, the idea of this pressure is, in order for him to attack you, he has to run into these units. For him to, I mean, and then if he runs into those units, he's not going to be able to attack your bases at all, you know, because he's attacking these guys. And if you trade armies, you're still going to be okay because you have this expansion going up. But you do not want to be on his terms. You do not want to be on his creep. You can run up here, take out a creep storm, and then run back. That's good. That's pretty darn awesome. Just try not to lose guys. Because, you know, sending him out here, the idea is you're making it so that he cannot attack this. Now, of course, if he has mutas or something like that, then yeah, he can still attack you. That's just the nature of the game. But he cannot attack you with a big ground force. So now you're going in here. Looks like you are okay. Scene Overlord, you might want to pick it off. Okay, now you're on back. Okay, good, very good. So I went on about that, saying a lot about that, but you actually pulled it off really well. So now you're coming back. You're going into a nice small hold where it's a little bit easier to defend against Zerglings. Like you just saw, he had a bunch of Zerglings and Banelings. So yeah, you want to be in a good spot to defend against that. Yeah, if you lose your guys, then all right, you just you did it really well. Now you kind of cut off guard. I'd say maybe retreat to here, maybe even pull back even more. If he has this many Zerglings, like try to get the heck out of there. But hey, you know what? You're gonna lose a couple guys. Looks like you sacrificed. Okay, that was really cool. I like that a lot. You kept a few guys back here and sent the rest to back home. Look at this distance. These Zerglings and Banelings went and killed those few units. Now, if he retreated with the entire crew he had, he would have lost probably all of them. But split up his force like that, he's able to get 5 guys out of there. Very nice, big thumbs up there. And now look at that. Even only 1 extra guy out of that was killed off. Actually, maybe 2. Maybe that was a Zergling actually, but. Either way, very, very nice. You safely got some dudes home. You are their hero. If this was real life, they'd be praising you as a commander. Like, dude, you got us out of there. Thank you. And as the commander, like, even if you didn't give a shit about them, like, it's still a good call. So you have to use them later on. Don't sacrifice dudes. Get them out of there. All right, so Zerg is morphing some dudes, some Banelings. Gonna be doing a bust. It looks like. And all you got is Marines, which is okay. I mean, you could have. Well, okay, it looks like you did tech up a little bit. Okay, if you have 2 tanks coming out of 1 factory, something wrong. If you have 2, if you have 2 factories and you're producing 2 tanks out of 1 instead of, 2 out of 2, just try not to do that. I don't know how that happened. Maybe you just didn't have the hotkey for it. I don't know. Okay, yeah, I don't know how that happened. Maybe this tech lab wasn't quite done, or I mean, this one wasn't quite done. Actually, it was done for a while since you have siege tech coming out of it. Whatever, stuff happens. Try not to do that, of course. Baneling's going for the yeah, this kind of sucks. This could have been a little bit of a tighter wall if you had these tanks out. This tank's kind of in an awkward position. Basically, I'll just say that this was just not a good time to switch into siege mode. Let's actually look back and see when you did that exactly. Actually, let's go in. Well, actually, I don't know what time it was at. When were you running away? Couldn't have been that. Yeah, you didn't even go out yet. Alright, so let's speed it up. Okay, so now you're coming out. Alright, so what are you doing in your base during all this? Okay, you got a factory going up. You got your barracks going on. Okay, another factory going up. And wow, this factory was actually up sooner, so I mean, why would just that one have tanks coming out? That's just weird. I don't know, maybe you just selected one instead of selecting both, but... Or maybe it wasn't on your hotkey yet, but that sucks. Alright, so now let's go back to normal speed, or actually faster, I guess, which is normal to me. Alright, so now your thing's done. You are producing guys. You do have some money. This money spent, you could have survived a lot better. Because right now, Zerg is actually, well, looks like your SV production hasn't been all that great. Right now, you should actually have like 40 SVs. So his production is actually really, really good. He's doing a good job with his drones and his units. He knows when to make those drones, and now he even has a nice task force to do some good damage. So he did that really well. But yeah, now he's holding back, getting some more Banelings, I think. Yeah, some reinforcements. I don't know. During all this, let's see, what are you producing? You are producing Marines, good. These factories, I don't know, I'd say get these factories up a little bit sooner. I mean, you had a lot of money. And so I'm pretty sure a red flag in your head was like, okay, I need to make some production buildings, let's add on some factories, That was the red flag, but you want to get it a little bit sooner. With a little bit sooner, these tanks would already be out. Hopefully you wouldn't be producing 2 at 1 and producing 1 at each, and then you just have more tanks. And then when they come out, since he has Zerglings and Banelings, you could actually just put them up here. You know, like make a wall with your tanks, because Banelings are not very good against tanks. Zerglings do some good damage against tanks, but at the same time, they're going to be a nice meat shield for your Marines. Now, tanks don't really absorb a lot of damage, but it's better than just having them coming straight for your Marines. So I mean, there is that, you know. So I mean, you know, just so your dudes don't explode from Banelings. So let's look at this again. Got a Marauder coming out, kind of random, but you know, whatever. Don't really need a Marauder against Marine or Zerglings and Banelings, but do what you gotta do. Alright, so now Goons come in here. Alright, now you're pulling SVs off. I would say if you see a big force like that, like this is kind of hard to do. But if you know that you cannot take the force that he has at your doorstep, pull your SVs off, use them with your army. Now, of course, if he has Banelings, you gotta be extremely careful, extremely freaking careful. But the idea is your SVs are gonna be far more powerful with Marines than your Marines separate than your SCVs. So like the Marines died, and now you're pulling SVs off. If you can, pull off the SVs, use them with the Marines, and the SVs will absorb a lot of nice damage for your Marines. They'll just be able to do more DPS because they won't be dying. They'll be surviving because the SVs are dying instead. Which just, you know, means that, you know, you're actually going to survive a lot better. But yeah, at the same time, Banelings coming in, you want to pull those SVs away from the Banelings. You don't want them exploding everywhere. If one SV goes off on one Baneling, that's really good. But I mean, if you lose a whole bunch because you pull them off because I said that, yeah, I would not feel good about that. So, anyways, Zerg has a nice +1, so you actually timed that out really nicely. And I mean, it would help to know that he's going to be doing that. You did push out. You saw his units. That's fine, but I don't know, just stuff happens. Sometimes you just, I don't know. But yeah, it looks like you're actually doing pretty good considering that was actually really nice crisis management. Pulled it off. You got some tanks up here. Now, since you have a third up here going up, and actually, this could actually probably be a planetary. Yeah, this should actually be a planetary considering what happened. The reason being, Zerg just had a nice attack. His third's kind of late, so this could actually just be, you know, go a little bit heavier on the defense since he is a little bit heavier on the offense. You know, like a little tweak like that. Like my opponent's going macro mode. He's building tons of drones. He's getting up a ton of bases. That's actually how I like to play. Now, what are you going to do about it? You know, are you going to change your play at all? Like, you should at least be considering, okay, well, what should I do differently then? Okay, well, I could expand maybe a little bit sooner because he's not going to have as many dudes. Yeah, that's fine. That's a good idea. I could tech right now, get up some higher tech than he has, and do it that way. I could attack right now. That's fine. But, you know, things, you know, just like in this circumstance specifically, oh, my opponent is being aggressive. That means his hatchery is going to be a little bit late, or he's not going to have as many drones. So I could get a little bit more defense. And so this could have been the planetary instead of an orbital. Especially since you're going tanks now. You got tanks with these Marines, which is fine. That's a totally good thing to have. At the same time, you should have your tanks down here. You want to guard this position. Now, if this was a planetary, I'd say, yeah, you can have your tanks up here. That's fine. But since it is not, I'd say definitely have them down here. Like, have them extremely spread out. You don't want them like 1, 2, 3, and then 2 down here. Like, you want them spread out more than that. Like, have like 1 here, 1 up there, 1 up there, and like 1 here. Like, that kind of spread, that is what I'm talking about. That's going to be awesome. Then you have your Marines out here. If you see a bunch of Zerglings and Banelings coming at you, you just take your Marines, stim them, move them back, and, you know, maybe do some stutter stepping or kiting or whatever you want to call it with your Marines. Pick off as many Zerglings as you can. The Banelings are going to be behind them, and then hopefully they'll explode on the tanks. If they don't explode on the tanks, you could actually use your tanks, target fire the Banelings. Now, this is actually kind of tricky to do, but if you're able to, you know, double click all your tanks, or even have them in a separate control group if you want. Hold shift and just like right click all the Banelings you can, and then go back to stutter stepping. And you want to do that extremely quickly. That's not easy to do. Even at like high level masters play, that's not easy to do. Even at GM play, that's hard to do. But you know, in the future, if you want to work on something, that might be something that could really help you out. You know, that's really kind of an awesome thing if you're able to target banelings like that. But anyways, let's continue on. Enough rambling from me. But yeah, spread out your tanks even more. Actually, I will talk about it a little bit more. Because players, I think they think about it logically and they say, okay, why is it good to have my tanks so spread out? You know, like half of them won't be attacking and half of them will be because they're so spread out. Well, the reason is, as your Marines are running back, they're going to have all this covered the entire way. Whereas otherwise, if they run back, eventually you're going to run out of, like, the tanks won't be in range anymore. Like, you'll just, like, run out of that space. And at the same time, Zerglings can have a better surround off them and do good damage that way. So, like, if you have them extremely spread out, you're going to kill a lot more ban. Trust me on this. Just trust me on it. I don't know how they can explain it any better. You're just going to kill more stuff, and it's going to be like, huh, how did I just win that? That feels kind of strange. Like, I should have just lost that. What happened? And Zerg will be like, oh, how did I lose that? You know, like, I feel like that all the freaking time when I see a good tanking player. Like, I'll send, like, a good size of units and then send them in. And they'll just all die. Like, he'll have, like, 90% of his units left. I'll be like, what just happened? And the truth is, he just spread out his tanks really well, and I just lost a bunch of shit because of it. So, anyways, there's a good lift off. Here comes the banelings. They were just kind of marching up to the front, so now they're back down there. That little bit of attack, that bust for Zerg was actually pretty good for him. Just keeping the Terran forces low. Alright, so now you're moving your tanks out here. I like this quite a bit. It's kind of like as if you're... I mean, I know this is a replay, but it's almost like I'm giving you advice and like pausing the game as it's happening, not when you're doing it. That kind of happened... Yeah, actually that happened earlier today with this same game. Alright, so now our tanks are in a good position. So yeah, just kill off some Zerglings for free. As Zerg, personally, and actually most Zergs, are scared to death of tanks. Like, you see a tank, you're like, oh my god, I gotta run. You know, like, you know, if it's sieged up, if it's on siege, it's like, yes, I gotta kill it. But if it's sieged up, it's like, oh god, I gotta run. So, I mean, if you have them nice and spread out, then, yeah, Zerg can't really just scout you in that position. Like, for example, here's the tank range, right? If you have a tank here, one down here, and one down here, and say this is your expansion, if he scouts, like, to scout your front, see where your main forces are, and he runs into this, you know, range, like here I guess is where it'd be killed off, all he's going to see is a tank. That's it. He doesn't know where your Marines are, you know? So as Zerg, that feels scary. You feel like his force is right there. Whereas, in fact, you could have your main force down here. You know, likewise, if you sent a Zergling here, the tank would kill it off, and, you know, the same thing. But that's another reason why you want to spread out, because they'll scare Zerg to death. You're like, oh my god, he has tanks everywhere. You know, like, you know, if you want a couple Marines near him just in case, but I mean, you know, in order to even scout it, Zerg's going to be losing a lot of dudes. So yeah, there's a very small chance of run-bys then, and if he does run by, he's going to be losing some good forces in the meantime. And yeah, but yeah, your SCV production is pretty darn bad. Actually, really horrible right now. You got to work on that a little bit for sure. But yeah, you're Diamond, so I mean, it seems as though that's the common trend. And Diamond, you just don't produce SCVs ever. You just don't like them. You just want units that want to kill your opponent. But I'd say, yeah, you want to work on that. Get some SCVs out to your opponent later on. All right, what else is going on? Looks like you're gonna be doing a drop. Very nice. You have a very nice spread out force here. This is actually really nice. And yeah. So actually what I was saying earlier about spreading out here, he's actually doing a very good job spreading out. This is a very nice tank line. I would like to see maybe one turret. And that sounds kind of crazy, like why would you do that? Like, reason being, if he had roaches, and actually he has some roaches in production, if he had roaches and burrow, looks like he does not have burrow, he might just surprise you with burrow, and then just like, he'll one day just have some roaches in your natural, and you just lose because of it. That one turret, or two turrets, like, since this is a pretty good train of units, like, just have a turret here, and have one here, or something like that. And you'll be perfectly safe against any kind of roach or infestor play like that, bro. Play. Wow. Don't tell me my mic has been off that whole time. I'm actually going to consort with you guys because I just looked at it and I'm not sure if it was off or not. So you guys can just type in the chat right now. I'm going to put my overlay so you guys don't know where I'm going. Not that it's a big mystery, I'm just going on to Twitch. But yeah, type in the chat if I screwed that up. Oh, so you could hear me? Okay, so that's good. I was like freaking out for a second. I was like, oh god, did I just really screw that up? Alright, so I'm gonna close this out now. I'll talk to you after the analysis, of course, if you stick around, answer some questions and all that. So yeah, let's resume. Alright, so got a nice tank line once again, good marine spread, good maybe a turret or two. All that. Zerg has a pretty good coverage of creep. It could have been a little bit better. He has some spine crawlers out since he's nearing the 200, which is good for him. Not so good for you. You're expanding at the top, which is very awesome. You know, you have very nice defense going on here. Very nice. So why not do that? If you're gonna be playing so defensively, oh man, you're moving out right as you're coming around, but that's okay. You have a ton of guys, and that's a small amount of units from him. That's pretty much just like a counterattack. Like I'm gonna try to sneak up there, but it seems kind of random. But anyways, since you're doing this kind of play, I'd say maybe you want to drop a little bit more. You know, since you have like a medevac or two. If you didn't have them, you know, then just do a nice straight push. But since you do have them, I'd say you could drop more. I don't know, where did that other drop go? Let me go back really quick. I'm not sure if it happened yet. Whoops. Unpause. Let me just see where's the medevac. I wish I realized where the timing was on that medevac. I'm just gonna watch the mini-map and see if there's a medevac. I'm not sure if it dropped or not. There's a medevac. I can load up. I think you were about to do a drop. No, I totally forgot about it. Like you were dropping, and then I was like, oh. Oh, here it goes. Alright, so what are you doing with that? Let's follow it around. There it is. Alright, so there's a spore crawler. Oh, that sucks. For the record, he's probably going to have spore crawlers. I mean, even at Diamond, he's probably going to have spore crawlers up already, just in case of this specific thing. So, I mean, I'd say drop here, and then run in. So this is the typical spot where you have spore crawlers, maybe like back here even. So, I mean, you want to drop maybe a little bit more on the edge. Now, if you're extremely good, like a pro player, you're going to be watching that medevac go in there, so you know, okay, he has some spore crawlers there, I gotta not go over there. But since you're not, you know, and even for myself, I would play it safe and just drop back here and just see, you know. Alright, so what I was saying before, it looks like we're about caught up now. You could do more drops. I would also say you could push out sooner. You know, if you're going mech, this would be the time to push out, which is good, but since you're going mainly Marines and tanks, you can push out a little bit sooner. The Marines will help you push your tanks faster than normal. So with that in mind, and especially since it's Shakur's Plateau, you know, there's only like one big area here that you can move through by ground. So with that in mind, you can push a lot sooner, like just set up, like start and set them up here, and then set them up here. You know, take the watchtowers and then like set them up back here just in case, and then Zerg might sprint forward to try to take them out while they're unsieged, and then you're like, oh, I'm already sieged up because I'm smart. You know, like I just cleared the watchtower. He's probably got a bunch of guys coming forward. Now, not every player will have a bunch of guys coming forward, but it's a good idea to just siege up at least some of your tanks then, just to, you know, just in case, because at high level play that will happen most of the time. You'll get here, clear the watchtower, and Zerg will be like, oh, bam! You're just going to take out all your tanks, and you're going to die. So you got to be careful to siege up before you really feel like you need to. And then maybe siege up some here. Now, if you're doing a smaller push, like let's say you only had like these dudes, which is actually what I like to see more, because if you push out more often, Zerg, I don't know, I mean, as Terran, you have a lot going on in your base, right? Imagine Zerg with having to spew larva. Oh, I have to get some more gases now. Oh, I need to get some overlords and move them somewhere. Oh, I need to take guys out of gas and put them in. oh, I gotta put up some spine crawlers or spore crawlers in my base. You know, Zerg has a lot to frickin' do. So I mean, Terran has a lot to do also, but I mean, I'd say that Zerg definitely has probably a tad more. You know, and in that regard, I'd say if you push out with a few guys, you're forcing him to pay attention to your guys attacking him, which will distract him from adding on extractors, adding on hatcheries, adding on drones. You know, it'll force him to make units instead of drones, and those Marines and tanks will actually be able to do quite a bit of damage. Whereas if you attack later on in the big push, you're giving him all the time in the world to say, oh, I can just add on drones, I can drone, and oh, you're attacking me. And now I can have a ton of units, and he's just going to, you know, overrun you. So you got to be really careful of that, especially since your SV production is not that great. So I'd maybe do this a little bit sooner with less stuff, and then push out, and then see. If you end up not doing that, if you end up doing a big push like this, siege up a little bit back here. You know, make a nice tank line like put one here, here, here. Looks like you're sieging up here at the creep. That's actually pretty good. That's pretty darn good. Now I'm actually telling you a little bit more caution, but this is actually a good spot to siege up. I'd spread them out more. Like these four are really close together. Like these two here, these two could, like, one could be up there, one could be down there. Now of course mutas are gonna be running around, maybe kill off some tanks, and you're gonna feel like you want them close, but you just gotta have your Marines at good spots. Even spread them out if you want, you know. And that's, you know, like they're clumped together like this is good against mutas, but against Zerglings, Roaches, Banelings, anything ground, it's not going to be as good. Yeah, now this verse coming in, Marines are absorbing damage pretty much and taking out the mutas. Tanks are dealing it, very nice. And you got your medevacs healing to make sure those Marines are staying healthy. So yeah, they actually played out really well. Now okay, this is a big blunder to me. This is a huge blunder. Now this doesn't seem like a big deal, but I'm noticing that it's a bigger and bigger deal as I do more and more of this. Scan and take out this creep tumor. Just do it. Scan it, take it out. Stay sieged up back here. You know, this is where you want to be doing a slow push. Do not unsiege and move forward. You know, you can keep your tanks back here. Like maybe if you want to reposition them back here, that's fine. Do not move them onto the creep. Take out the creep tumor with your Marines. Do a scan with them. Let it recede a little bit, and then you can move your tanks up a little bit more when you have reinforcements on the way. Alright, so now they're on the way, which is cool. You have a couple tanks back here to defend. That's actually really nice to have, especially since this push is still doing really nicely. Alright, so you want your tanks back here. Take out the creep with your Marines. Run back to your tanks. Get your reinforcements together, set up more tanks, maybe set them up a little bit forward now that the creep is back a little bit. And then you can actually just keep your tanks out here and move your Marines up here, or move your Marines up here. It looks like he chose this spot, the natural, which is good since his army is up here. You know, that scan that you put down here, you know, actually when you scan this area for that creep tumor, you should put it like right there or something like that, or put it like right here. You know, that's going to be enough space to see this creep tumor and this creep tumor, and possibly see if his army is here. If his army is here, your tanks are back here protecting your Marines, and your Marines can sprint up here. At least some of them. You don't have to take all of them. Keep some of them by your tanks, protect them, and then have some Marines going after these drones and the spine crawler. And then if his army is up here like it is right now, then you keep some Marines back here with your tanks.